Good morning students. We have already discussed a lot of movements, literary movements from UGC-NET perspective, such as university wits, cavalier poets, metaphysical poets, sons of Ben, so on and so forth. Now we have reached the Restoration age, which begins after 1558, or you can say which begins 1660, when King Charles II came onto the throne. Actually, after the execution of King Charles I in 1649, we have Oliver Cromwell, who came to the British and established republic in Britain. And after the death of Oliver Cromwell, this republic was again replaced by monarchy. King Charles II came into the place, and that is why we call it Restoration age, the restore of the monarchy. That is what Restoration age. And in this age we have a literary movement which was very much famous, and that is Comedy of Manners. Okay, so this Comedy of Manners was influenced by the Comedy of Humours of Ben Jonson. So before moving to the Comedy of Manners, let's first try to understand what is Comedy of Humours. I have deliberately left this Comedy of Humours while we were discussing the Elizabethan period, while we were discussing the literary movements in the Elizabethan period. I have deliberately left that Comedy of Humours so that I can discuss Comedy of Humours and Comedy of Manners, both of the literary movements, in this video and in the upcoming video. So by now you may have understood Ben Jonson's importance in English history, in British drama, in British poetry also. He is often compared with Shakespeare. So do not underestimate Ben Jonson when you are preparing for your competitive exams, because already we have discussed a lot of literary movements were influenced by Ben Jonson's. For instance, we had cavalier poets, we had sons of Ben, we have now Comedy of Humours, Comedy of Manners. All these four literary movements more or less associated to Ben Jonson. So in this video we are going to discuss what is Comedy of Humours and what all are the points that you should remember in order to prepare for your competitive exams. So before beginning this video, if you are one of those students who are preparing for UGC-NET English Literature or GATE English Literature examination, then don't forget to check out our study material from our official website limitlessliterature.com. Check the link in the description below to know more about our study material. Now without any further delay, let's continue this video. According to Ben Jonson, there are two types of comedy. The very first comedy is the comedy which came from inside, the comedy which came from the body, which came from the soul. And the next comedy is the person when adopts the environment. Okay, so the very first comedy is natural comedy, the true comedy which comes from the body, which comes from the soul. The next comedy is the person when he adopts from the environment, when he adopts from the manners of others, the way he clothes, the way he fashions himself, the way he speaks, his food habits, his all other habits, what he adopts from the environment. That is Comedy of Manners. And what is natural to him, what is the comedy which is caused from the body and soul, is known as Comedy of Humours. Okay, so these two concepts later on derived into a new genre, Comedy of Humours and Comedy of Manners, the one which comes naturally and the one which a person adopts from the environment. And now in this video we are particularly talking about Comedy of Humours. Okay, so Comedy of Humours is centered around the four liquids, that is blood, phlegm, choler and black bile. The important point to remember here is that these four liquids are not creating any humor, but these four liquids has association with the medical science. Medical science, what Greek philosophers used to follow. So these four liquids was the invention by Hippocrates. Hippocrates was a Greek philosopher and he came out with the four liquids, and which has association with medical science, which has association with biology. For instance, in the ancient world, people used to say that if a person is angry, his face goes red. Then we say that the blood, the liquid blood is dominating this personality. If someone is sneezing, if someone is coughing a lot, then we say that this person is dominated by phlegm. If someone is very much sad, if someone is very much upset or disappointed or very sad, melancholy, then they used to say, the ancient people used to say that his kidney is secreting the black bile. His kidneys is secreting the hormone black bile, the liquid black bile. These four liquids have nothing to do with the comedy, but it's much to do with the biology, with much to do with the body, with much to do with the medical science. Again, for instance, if someone is angry, we see his face is getting red. So we are saying that his blood, the liquid blood, is dominating his body. So using this theory, what Ben Jonson did was he created a genre in English literature which he termed as comedy of humours. This comedy of humours was first introduced in the play Everyman in His Humour. And then in this play, Shakespeare has personally played the role of the character Novel. Okay, so Shakespeare and Ben Jonson were good friends. So on the request of Ben Jonson, you can say that Shakespeare played the role of the character Novel. And yes, Shakespeare also went on to use these four liquids in his own plays. For instance, we have Hamlet, the character Ophelia. Yes, the character Ophelia, who is said to be the girlfriend of Hamlet, who was in the love with the Hamlet, and she remained melancholy, she remained sad throughout the play. So throughout the play, the hormone, the liquid black bile was dominating the, you can say, dominating the character Ophelia. So she remained melancholy throughout the play. So just like we say that different types of emotions are dominating the body, the same way ancient used to say that it is the liquids of the body which is dominating the personality throughout the day. For instance, if someone is angry, we say that blood is dominating the person. That in the sense of ancient people. Okay, so someone is sneezing, and the ancient people used to say that the person is sneezing just because the phlegm liquid is over dominating him. So Ben Jonson used to rely heavily on the Greek philosophers, and from the Greek philosophy, from the medical science of Greek philosophy, the Hippocrates, who is being credited for the four liquids, he took out these four liquids and put it into the English literature, and he tried to make it more humoristic, more comedy. Okay, so he applied all these four liquids into his works, and tried to generate satires, tried to generate irony and comedy, so on and so forth. And then Shakespeare also took these four humors and applied in his own works. For instance, I have just talked Ophelia of Hamlet, or you can say Taming of the Shrew, where the liquid choler is much more dominant throughout the play. Taming of the Shrew, the choler, choler, the liquid choler, which shows the aggressiveness, which shows the aggressiveness of the characters, and we can see that liquid, we can see that hormone, we can see that that attribute was much more spread over the whole play, the Taming of the Shrew. Just like we have comedy of humours in Ben Jonson's Everyman in His Humour, and Ben Jonson particularly used these four liquids in sense of comedy. And in the play also Everyman in His Humour, we will talk about the summary of Everyman in His Humour sometimes later in our videos. For now, this is what all I have to share in this literary movement, Everyman in His Humour. So I hope you found the video worth your time. If you're new to this channel, then don't forget to subscribe the channel for more updates on English literature. That's it for this video. Thank you.